Hey guys, what's going on? This is Matt Wenning at winningstrength.com, and this is another edition of Trophy Tuesday. Now, this Trophy Tuesday is not necessarily a trophy; it's kind of more like a battle award. So for you guys that don't know, this is the cast that I had on me at 6 years old. So both legs, I actually fortunately saved one of them through all the years because that was almost 40 years ago. I was in casts all the way up to my pelvis with a broken pelvis for almost a year. So I was entirely homeschooled all of first grade. And then in second grade, I was in a boot for another 6 months on my right leg that took most of the damage, broken in 6 places underneath the knee. This required 3 separate surgeries as well as intensive rehabilitation just to learn how to walk again. Luckily for me, I did it at a young enough age that the rehabilitation process actually worked and the bone became stronger than normal over the course of the next 5 to 10 years. But when I first got out of the cast, I wanted to play baseball with my friends so bad. We had T-ball, and I'll do another YouTube video here sometime with my mom and tell you about how she could hear my legs cracking when I was running to first and second, third, and home run base. I ran like I had a disability for probably a solid 2 years, so from the age of 7 to 9. So that gravitated me towards swimming. I lived right across the street from a private pool that swam against other private pools in the neighborhood, the Halteman Sun Devils. And I swam there before the break and after the leg breakage up until I was about 13. And then I became big enough to where when I was lifting weights, that lifting weights started to have my calling card on what I was going to do for the rest of my life. But swimming was a big part of my life up until about 13 years old. And much of that after the leg break was because impactful stuff ended up hurting really, really bad, both in shin splints, knee pain, and just overall leg discomfort. So a lot of running sports were kind of out of the question as far as just the pain was concerned. So I gravitated to swimming. Plus, I started to realize that powerlifting was going to be a good sport for me later on down the road because swimming, I was really good at sprinting, not really good at doing very high endurance stuff. So anything over a 200 meter, I never was any good at. And a lot of times the swim coaches at that time thought, well, maybe he's just not conditioned enough. But in reality, we found out through doing muscle biopsies in graduate school that I was mostly fast twitch fiber, which started to become realized when I broke world records and American records, 15, 20 years past that point. So interestingly enough, it's funny what we didn't know in the 80s, especially at the swim coach club level, but we started to figure out by the time I was in undergraduate and graduate school in the 2000s. So what I wanted to do with this live feed is just let everyone know that, no matter what your obstacles are, what your shortcomings are, you can still do very, very impressive things. As far as I know, I am the only person that's been wheelchair bound for an entire year and then come back to actually break world records. Most people would have never picked up anything like that if they would have had that level of injuries occur to them at the age that I did or even later. The right leg, the cast that I saved, was actually almost amputated due to the breaking being not only across ways, but also long ways, almost like a split tree trunk from a lightning strike. So it took a lot of pins and a lot of surgeries to get that leg back to straight. Now, fast forward about 15 or so years later, I started getting back pain when I started to get really strong, like national level strong, squatting in the mid high 7s to the 800s. And I started getting a lot of back pain, and my mom, being a nurse practitioner, was like, well, you're squatting big weights now. That's probably going to lead to some back issues. Just looking at an elementary mindset. And I said, there's nobody I can talk to. There's no specialist that I can talk to. And she goes, well, let me see if I can talk to, some of the orthopedic surgeons and see what they say. So they send me to a bone length discrepancy test, which is basically like a full body MRI of your skeleton to figure out where the imbalances were. And they found out that the leg that was in cast for 6 months longer then the left leg was actually 9 millimeters shorter due to the time in which I did it, which was 6 years old. So with that being said, I went and had a custom, very solid orthotic built that raised my right shoe up 9 millimeters. And within about 6 weeks, back pain was completely gone and the squat went crazy through the roof. So for information for you guys today is that, if you're having a lot of back pain when you lift, a lot of people walk around with very slight discrepancies in both left to right limbs. And you can get that corrected with proper orthotics, and it can help not only increase performance, but increase longevity. I truly think that if I wouldn't have went to those doctors at that time, which was about 21, 22 years old, I probably would have been very limited to what I could squat. There's no way I would have hit the thousands, 1100s, and nearly 1200 pound squats that I did in my prime, as well as the world record raw squats that I got with hardly any back pain ever at all. I think that's a true testament to not only the research that I was willing to put in for myself to get everything perfect, but also the longevity of the training protocols, which I hope that you guys are taking advantage of at Winning Strength, whether it be on the Train Heroic app, the Patreon app, or the manuals, or most importantly, the online coaching where we can custom design everything for you guys so that you can learn before mistakes become injuries. So talk to you guys soon, and thanks for joining this Trophy Tuesday.